Okay, good morning here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Appreciate everybody coming out today for today's test session in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series as we prepare for Sunday's 19th annual Cobalt 400, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race number 3 in the 2016 season, race number 2 with the new lower downforce package in the Sprint Cup Series. Carl, talk about your test out there today and your overall assessment of how you think your car is running, and then also maybe a little bit about the lower downforce package and some of the things you're seeing here as opposed to what you saw at Atlanta.
I think the biggest surprise is just how fast the cars are going. I mean, I guess in my mind I envisioned the lower downforce package being slower, but the cars are really fast. And the second thing that I think is that was notable to me, and I think it's a real plus, is how the Goodyear rubber is laying down on the racetrack. I don't know if you guys can see it from here, but definitely a difference where the cars are running versus where they're not running. So I think that's going to help the race to be really good. Going to help us have multiple lanes. You know, it's already spread out in the corners. You can already run up to the second groove and make a little time right now. So hopefully that keeps migrating around, and I really hope that it stays here all weekend. And you know, because that rubber, the way it when it does that, it makes the racing a lot more fun.
Take a few questions now for Carl. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll get to you with the wireless mics.
I haven't listened to your CD yet. I'm sorry. Where'd you put that, Randy?
It's in our locker.
All right. Sorry.
Go ahead,
about that.
Reed.
I'm excited about that.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. So, based on limited time on the track so far, what do you expect might be different between this race and what happened in Atlanta last week?
Well, this race is going to be more like the races we've seen, we saw last year and the year before that. I think that, like I said, the speeds are just high. It's still a ton of corner speed, a ton of throttle time. And so I think it's going to be, honestly, it's going to be a little treacherous, because, just like always, you want the car to be free, and regardless of how fast we're going, there's still less air to lean on with the smaller spoiler and all that. So I think it's going to be tough. Hopefully, like I said, the groove moves out, which it looks like it's going to. And if that's the case, it'll be pretty neat. You have guys running the very top, sweeping guys down the back straightaway and catching them, and that'll be cool.
Go ahead, sir.
Carl, hi. Thanks. I'm Jason Summerall with the Trackside Experience. A couple of years in a row now, you've been saying NASCAR's had you guys trapped in this box.
Yeah.
Do you think they finally opened that box for you?
Definitely, NASCAR is getting there, and I applaud them. It's we tried everything. We tried higher downforce and lower downforce, and it appears that some of the toughest races, the most challenging. Let's say the most challenging. That's a good word. The most challenging races we've had were with the very high downforce, and it gets better and better the less downforce there is. So, I've said over and over, I really applaud NASCAR for going this direction. I hope they continue to go this direction. Last week, I have a hard time gauging what the fans really felt about the race, but from a driver's perspective, it was a blast. I mean, we were really driving. It was really, really fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go to Bob, and then we'll go over here. Go ahead, Bob.
I have a pair of those for a while.
Bob Hocker, ESPN. I have two. First off, are you going so fast that you are not going to be able to pass, or is there enough on and off throttle time that you think if you have a better car you can pass?
I'm not sure yet. There's still, so it looks like down in turns 1 and 2 right now where it appears that where we're running the most, the rubber's getting really slick, and so that will lend itself to guys getting out of the throttle, having trouble there. There are a couple bumps, so that'll make it a little dicey for people, and those are the things that give you opportunities to get a guy. So I think it's a little early yet to tell, but it looks like it'll be better than it was last year.
And this week there are 6 teams that got dock points as far as penalties.
Was I one of them?
No, you weren't.
All right,
you
good.
weren't one of them.
Well, then that's great.
Well, I guess
it's perfect.
But I can't remember a week where there were 6 teams that got dock points. I was curious what the feeling is in the garage, and especially with some changes in NASCAR leadership there. Is there, I don't want to say worry, but are people more on their toes, or will this get people more on their toes?
I don't know. I guess everybody realizes that NASCAR is policing the sport tougher and closer, looking at things closer. And for a sport, that's great. That's what you want. You want to know that you're competing against guys that are being held to the same rules that you are. So I think that's good, and it's good to get that stuff out of the way early in the season. If NASCAR throws down the gauntlet, as I say that, I'll probably end up with some sort of penalty, but if they get everybody in that box early in the season, then we all know we're racing, in a fair race all year. And I think that's cool. That's one of the things when I first came to NASCAR, people ask me what's the greatest part about it. And I mean, it's fun. We get to go all these racetracks. But the coolest part as a competitor is that the sanctioning body governs the sport so hard that you really know you're racing somebody with a very similar piece of equipment. And any racer around the country knows that that's not that's not the way it is most of the time. So I think that's good.
Right over here, go ahead.
Jonathan Merriman, NASCAR.com. Carl, obviously it's not going to be as much fall off with the tires as it was last weekend at Atlanta, but how many laps did you get on your tires out there? I saw you ran 35 laps, and how much fall off did you feel in the car?
I think I can't remember if we ran 2 runs at the end with the newer tires. So probably around 25 or 28 laps we ran on the tires. But with the track being green, fresh like it is, it wears the tires more. I think as the weekend goes on, we'll get a better feel for how long we can run them. Last week was very unique, where the tires are wearing out quicker than we needed to pit for fuel. So that was an interesting situation, which I thought was really a lot of fun. I don't think they'll wear that much here. They're still pretty hard tires because of the speeds and the loads and the pavement.
Ron, do you have a question?
Yeah, Carl, Mark Jankowski, Las Vegas Review Journal. Last week in Atlanta, everybody raved about it and said that the tracks are
Yeah.
very abrasive there.
Yeah.
Why don't the track owners just wait longer before we pave them so all the tracks are like that?
I don't know how you get a track surface to be aged when it's new. I think that it's one of those things that just happens naturally. I got to spend a little bit of time with one of the guys that paved Phoenix when we went out there for the tire test after they paved it. And it's just there are 2 different perspectives there. The guy that paved it, he did a beautiful job. If I was paving something, that's exactly how you'd want it paved. But from a racing standpoint, you want that thing to be, you want it to sit out there for about 10 or 15 years and remove some of the, I guess they call it the aggregate, whatever bonds the rocks together. You want that to move away so that you've got a more coarse surface and it has less grip. I just don't know how you do that initially. The paving guys do a beautiful job, but it's so smooth and has so much grip, it's tough to slide the car around on.
So there's such a thing as like a sweet spot, and maybe Atlanta's in that sweet spot now, and then you can't go too far.
The best pavement you ever have at these racetracks is like the moment before they start bulldozing it to put the new pavement in, and that's the problem because the track's got to hold together. It's got to be safe. It's just tough. It's somebody will figure out how to do it eventually, and I know these guys have spent a fortune. ISC and SMI and all these guys have spent a fortune trying to make the tracks as good as they can be, and I think that with NASCAR taking a little bit of that downforce away, continuing down that path, softer tires, that could mask some of the problems we see at these really high-speed, smooth racetracks.
Any additional questions for Carl Edwards? Carl, I got
Okay.
one question for
Yeah.
you. I know when you come to Las Vegas before, you've done the Stratosphere and all those types of things. You got anything in store for us this weekend?
Yes, thank you for that. I got to the top of that Stratosphere, and I don't know if you guys have done it yet, but, I watched Jamie Little jump off. I thought, no big deal. And they strapped me up and walked me out to the end. I thought, man, if there wasn't all these cameras around, I could turn right back around and go back down. But I highly recommend it. It's pretty exhilarating, a lot of fun. I think we're going to go camping out in the desert tonight. We got a group of guys who are going to go out there and see what happens.
Carl, thanks for coming in. Good luck this
Thank you.
weekend.